What's happening, everybody? Bobby Borg here, also known as Coach. I'm going to do that again because sometimes I get cut off in live streams in the beginning. What's happening, everybody? This is Professor Bobby Borg, also known as Coach. And thank you very much for showing up today. I'm going to do an unboxing of a new book, Intro to Music Publishing. I'm going to unbox this baby, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the book real quick. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the different sections in the book. And then we're going to actually do a little session, just a really quick session about how you can collect your monies as a DIY artist, strictly as a DIY artist that owns your masters and owns your songs. And this is a little confusing, right? If you're going to DIY by yourself, it's not hard to do, but it can be a little bit confusing. But I'm going to go there because I'm going to show you how important knowing, a strong foundation of music publishing is. Okay, so let's get right to this. Here is the box. Here is the box, right, containing this magical book. So basically, I'm not going to drag this out or anything. Boom, boom, and boom. Let's take this baby out. Take it for a spin. Get rid of this paper. And here we go. Unboxing the new book. Ta-da! Intro to Music Publishing. A business and creative perspective for the new music industry. So what's interesting about this book, let's just look at the title really quickly. First of all, an introduction to music publishing. This assumes that you do not know anything about music publishing. And I think that's very, very important, not only for the people that do know about music publishing, but for the people that don't know about music publishing. So we start off from the very, very beginning and filling in all and giving you a strong foundation of music publishing. And for those of you guys that are already a little bit more knowledgeable, it gets more and more detailed as we progress. It's for musicians. Why is that important? Because a lot of books out there that write about music publishing are talking about so many different perspectives, it gets confusing. Like, are they talking to the record company right now? Are they talking to the master owners right now? Are they talking to the song owners right now? Are they talking to the people that are going to be licensing music from artists and they own some sort of company or something? It just keeps on going back and forth in your brain. So this is always from the perspective of the musician into the music industry, right? Which is very, very important. It talks about a business and creative perspective, which basically means that we cover the business first. What is copyright? What are the types of income that you can get from publishing your music? What are the different terms of publishing agreements? How to publish yourself? Things of that nature, which are very, very important. And then it also talks about the creative stuff, because without the song, there is no music publishing. So we talk about the basics of what a good song is from the perspective of maybe the people you're going to be licensing it to. We look at conversations with beat makers, with documentary filmmakers, with so many other people in the music industry that create music and how they do that. Strategies for the writer's block, strategies for like a creative, schedule to make sure that they pump out some hits, all that really, really good stuff. Some good stuff in here. And then we finish off a little bit about the future. There's I think a lot of people are wondering about AI and how that's going to affect copyright law and how that's going to affect the business in general. So we tackle all that kind of stuff too as well. Okay. This book is available on Amazon and in all fine bookstores across the United States and the world, actually, for that matter. It's used at schools, Berklee College of Music. It's used, I used it at UCLA. It's used by other instructors at UCLA as well. I believe that some of the teachers at Belmont are using this book as well. And of course, schools around the world. So some good stuff. What is it about? Let's see. It's 504 pages. The cool thing about the book, real quick, is it's got a lot of these box stories and stuff like that, to break up the text. The way it's written is like there's, one thing I hate about certain books is that you're literally turning the pages to see when the chapter ends. These chapters sometimes are 2 pages, 2.5 pages long. All of the text is broken up with subtitles and second heads and third heads and things of that nature. Anytime we can put bullet points, you got bullet points. There's graphics, there's charts, there's all kinds of stuff. Really easy to read, really beautiful looking. I think you'd agree, right? All right, good deal. So definitely, if you want to know about music publishing, pretty thick too as well. Boom, you can swap flies with it. Pick up a copy, learn this stuff because it's very, very important. Okay, now let's get to a little bit of a lesson real quick. One of the things that a lot of DIY artists in the music industry want to know about is, how to take care of the business side of their releases, and they want to make sure that they collect their money properly and they're not getting ripped off, right? All very, very important stuff. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it is helpful. It's a little confusing, and admittedly, I'm going to just give you the details. You might get a little confused as well, simply because it might be a little overwhelming, and that's why you want to grab the book and start from page 1. But let's go ahead and tackle some of this stuff real quick, okay? All right. So first of all, when you are a DIY artist and you're composing music in your bedroom, let's just say, for example, I'm just going to make all assumptions off the table. It's just you doing it, okay? So you are going to become the owner of the recording, which is also called the master owner. And you're also going to become the owner of the song as well. Assuming that you took an original idea from your head and you recorded it and you're not using samples and and it's an original idea, you're going to own the song too as well. Okay, the song, including the music, the lyrics, the beat, right? It's all there. So there's 2 rights that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the master side, and we're also dealing with the publisher side. Now, that alone is something that a lot of people don't understand. And you're going to have to understand how to collect for both sides. So what I'm going to do in this presentation really quick is show you how to collect for both sides as a DIY artist. Now, before we go any further, I also want to say this. Keep in mind that when you're a DIY artist just starting out, there's typically not going to be tons of money for you available. Okay? I know that there's a lot of fear videos out there, like you could be leaving money on the table and you could be getting ripped off and all this kind of stuff. I've released major label recordings, some which have not done that well. There's very little money that is coming in and that you need to be worried about. I mean, certainly every penny is you deserve, but I wouldn't be freaking out. Okay. It's not like there's tons of money somewhere in Germany waiting for you. But we should take care of our business. So I just kind of want to quell a little bit of the fear. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, there are administrators in this world that will do this stuff for you. And they're what I call DIY friendly administrators, which basically means they'll work with almost anybody, right? So you have services like, TuneCore/Believes Publishing, which will basically take care of like everything I'm about to talk about. You also have companies like Song Trust, and you also have a new company like Cosign, right? Which will basically, you sign up for them and they make sure that all this stuff is taken care of and you don't have to deal with it. However, news on the streets, and listen, I'm just relaying information from tons of like Reddits and tons of comments from students and things of that nature, that they're not very happy with the outcome of Song Trust or TuneCore Believe or, even Cosign. But again, I don't know, whether or not you're blaming Song Trust for something they're not really responsible for. Like people say things like, yeah, I never received much money from them at all. Well, that's probably because there wasn't much money at all, So anyway, a really easy thing to do would just be to sign up for these companies, but we're going to kind of give you the nit and gritty about how to do it yourself. Okay. So here we go. First, we're going to start with the master side. Okay, so, and remember, this is kind of all about the unboxing of this wonderful book, Introduction to Music Publishing for Musicians. Grab your copy. What I'm doing right now is I'm going over a chapter in here, essentially what is called DIY self-publishing. Okay, and we're just going to talk a little bit about DIY self-publishing. All right, so first of all, let's talk about you as the master owner. So let's just say, and the way I kind of organize things is I organize things by the money, the name of the money that you're supposed to get. So let's just talk about artist royalties, okay? From the ownership of your master perspective. So you're supposed to get artist royalties, right? So when you make CDs and you make a vinyl record and you're going to sell it at your shows, or you're going to sell it, online, and then you go to the post office and you mail it to people and stuff like that. Well, you should get an artist royalty for that, right? Well, the money that you collect from the consumer has the artist royalty in it. You are the record company, so everything goes to you, right? You're not going to peel an artist royalty out of that and give it to yourself. It's all there already. And this is the same thing for overseas as well. It's that simple, okay? Now, how about when we go online and we're talking about digital service providers and we're talking about the DSP streams and things of that nature, okay? So that basically means when your music streams on Spotify, on Apple Music and Tidal, etc., right? How are you going to get your artist royalties there? Well, pretty much your distributor is going to collect that money, and then that distributor sends it to the record company, right? Which is you. So the artist royalty is in that payment that you receive from this distributor, right? And again, you as the record company are not going to take a royalty and pay it to you because you already have it all. Okay. So this is the same thing for US and for overseas. Okay. Now there's another type of money that you could get from your master recording. And that is what's called neighboring rights. Neighboring rights is a weird kind of word, and basically it refers to the money that you get when your music performs, or when I beg your pardon, when the master recording of your music performs. Okay. So in the United States, when the master recording performs on iHeartRadio and Sirius XM and Pandora, things that are also known as digital radio, right? The way that you collect that money is through a company called Sound Exchange. Okay. And they will collect for you in the USA. And if you click on a button that says opt in for foreign or international, they will also collect your money for digital radio in foreign territories as well. Okay. Now, how about when your music plays on terrestrial radio stations? That means not digital radio stations, but land radio stations, so to speak, right? Well, here in the US, we don't recognize terrestrial rights for master owners, right? So there is no money to collect here in the US. However, because you hit that international button, they will collect terrestrial radio play, also known as neighboring rights, in foreign territories for you. Okay. So very important stuff. Okay, now, how about when your master recording is used in what's called synchronization, like in film, TV, and video games? There is something called a master use license for the master side, for the master owners, right? So when something is going to be synced, there's also a master use license as well that goes together with that. And there's a fee that goes to the master owners, right? So how are you going to collect that? Well, sync doesn't just happen. It doesn't just sort of automatically happen. Typically, someone like a documentary filmmaker is going to become interested in licensing your music in their film or their television show or something like that. And they're going to go to the owner of the song, and they're also going to go to the owner of the master recording, which is you. And they're going to pretty much make a payment directly to you. And that's going to be by virtue of, some agreement that you guys have together, right? And then what happens when your music is used online, sort of in what's called user-generated content? Like, there's a lot of people that make videos and they put your music in there, they find it or whatever, and they kind of throw it on there. That kind of synchronization might happen sort of by itself, like on TikTok and YouTube and Peloton and Facebook and things like that. But don't forget that and hope I'm not going to confuse anybody here, but your distributor has these people as partners, right? So they're issuing licenses and they're distributing your music to these places like YouTube, TikTok, and Peloton, and Facebook, and Instagram, etc. So they're also collecting that side of the money as well. So when they get that side of the money, right, they're going to send it to you in the distributor payments. So your sort of the master sort of side of those types of uses are going to come from your distributor paychecks. Okay. And then one more thing, and I'm going to take a look and say hi to some of the people online right now. Let's just say when your music is, or your master recording is going to be licensed in other purposes like podcasts and stuff like that. Typically what happens is whoever the podcast producer is or licensee is going to come to you directly and ask you for that license. Okay, again, I just unboxed Introduction to Music Publishing for Musicians, and I'm going over one of the chapters on self-publishing. And let's see if anybody is in the house and is participating in this chat. Just want to say hi to everybody. What's up? Oh my God, what's happening, man? Good to see you. I'm glad that you are here. Talented drummer is in the house. Nice to see you here. This video is also going to be available later on as well for people that want to watch at another time. All right, now let me keep on going. I'm going to talk to you guys real quickly about, and we got Bass Music 55. What's happening, Bass Music 55? Or is it, yeah, Bass Music 55. Basically, also what I want to do too is I want to talk now about how you collect your publishing side of the money. Okay, very, very important from a DIY perspective. And I'm going to make this really quick, and then you guys can go all eat lunch and do what you do, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So let's just do this real fast, you guys. So how do you collect the publishing side of your money when your music is out in the world? So the way I teach this is by dividing the different types of royalties that you can get. And the 4 types of royalties you can get is mechanicals, performances, synchronization, and print. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to collect all of that. Okay. So first of all, mechanical royalty is a reproduction royalty. So when your song is reproduced sort of on CD or vinyl, or when it's reproduced or cached on your computer through like Spotify, that's what's called a mechanical. It triggers a mechanical. Okay. So first, if you were to make your own CDs and you were to make your own vinyl and you were to sell them at your shows, or you were to sell them online, or you were to sell them overseas when you were on tour or something, the people that pay you the money are paying the money to you, which includes the mechanical royalty, right? You as the record company receive this payment. The mechanical is in that payment. You're not going to take a little piece of that money and pay yourself because you already have it. Okay. Now, how about DSP streams? How do you collect mechanicals from the digital service providers? You have to sign up with an organization called the Mechanical Licensing Collective in the USA, and they will collect that money for you. As far as collecting that money overseas, you have to go to the Harry Fox agency, and they'll oversee it with an opt-in agreement they have with a company called Mint. And Mint will collect that money for you outside of North America. Okay, so they'll collect those digital streams for you outside of North America. This is a DIY way that you can do it. Of course, it's not fully DIY. You're using services, but this is the way to do it. Okay, as far as downloads, not that anyone really cares about downloads anymore, but I want to be clear that typically the money that the distributor pays you, right? So the money that your distributor, like, CD Baby or DistroKid, pays you is going to include the mechanical. And then you, as a record company, are responsible for taking that mechanical and paying the writers, which is you. So here you're not going to do anything because you're both the master owner and the song owner as well, right? And then, of course, they'll collect for you overseas too as well. As far as performance royalties go, right? Performances on Spotify, performances on the radio, on TV, on social media, on YouTube, on podcasts, general licenses, like any performances that of your music that's performed is going to be collected through your performing rights organizations, ASCAP or BMI, most usually. And then for overseas, they have reciprocal agreements in foreign territories with all of the different PROs in other territories. So you're going to be covered there as well. Okay. How about synchronization? It's the same thing. Synchronization doesn't just happen, right? Typically, people are going to request licenses from you in film and television, right? And video games, both in the US and both in foreign territories. So they're going to come to you directly for a license, and you give them the license, and that fee is going to come directly to you. As far as like content ID goes and YouTube and all that good stuff, for the songs, this is going to be a little bit more complicated. You can use a company called Identify for the USA, okay, and then go to Harry Fox Agency and opt in to its agreement to cover content ID in foreign territories. They have an opt-in agreement with Mint, and that will be covered for you. How about your TikTok and Peloton? So when your music is played on TikTok, or when it's played in Peloton, the exercise bike, typically, how do you collect money for your songs when it's used in those instances, right? You could use a company called Music Reports worldwide, and then there is an opt-in agreement as well that will cover this. So Music Reports worldwide opt-in agreement. As far as Facebook and Instagram, how are you going to cover that? Harry Fox has a Meta opt-in agreement for USA, and also Harry Fox has a separate opt-in agreement for Mint overseas. So that's how you would collect that money. Okay, man, this is complicated stuff, right? For DIY artists. I mean, it is and it isn't, but let's move on real quick. And keep in mind, all of it is covered in the new book under the section self-publishing for musicians, okay? All right, now, how do you collect print royalties? Print royalties, it's probably not going to be a lot of print royalties to collect, but nonetheless, print royalties, we're talking about sheet music, we're talking about books and things of that nature. And essentially, when that happens, there'll be a print license that's paid directly to you from whoever wants to license it, and that is true for the US and overseas. In other words, your music just doesn't end up in a book, or it doesn't just end up in sheet music, okay? How about lyric websites like Lyric Find and Music Match and Genius? Typically speaking, the Harry Fox Agency worldwide opt-in agreement for Lyric Find, and then you also want to use Harry Fox USA opt-in for a Music Match. All you need to do is I beg your pardon, you want to use Harry Fox USA opt-in, but then for Music Match, you want to go to Music Match directly for overseas, okay? And then also go direct at genius.com for the world. Woo! How about for podcasts? If someone wants to use your song in a podcast, again, they're going to come directly to you. All right. So for those of you guys whose heads are spinning right now, again, all of this stuff is in the new book that I just unboxed. But hopefully this started to kind of maybe give you guys some ideas about how you might want to collect royalties and how worried you should be about it at the very early stages of your career. All right. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. I'd be more than happy to answer anything for you. just go ahead and leave it under this video that's going to be published, and I'll get back to you and I'll make sure that I answer those questions for you. Okay, so my name is Bobby Borg, helping musicians turn their art into more successful business. Peace, love, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.